Welcome to another episode of Rectec Reels. I'm Rob Green, founder and CEO here at Rectec, and I'm delighted to have with me today BBC Apprentice winner Lee McQueen. We're talking all things assessments today. So Lee, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, fantastic. Thanks for having me. I am Lee McQueen. I'm the founder and CEO of Phoenix 51, which is a digital software platform that, funnily enough, digitalizes observational and people assessment. And we've built a business during the pandemic to a 4 million valuation organization and working with enterprise and smaller businesses across the globe. So, yes, it's going pretty well, Rob, to be fair, at the minute.
Thank you, Lee. Great introduction. And as you know, I'm a big advocate of what you're doing in this space. Really appreciate you coming onto the show today. Now let's get into it. Today we're talking about assessments, and something that I hear time and time again is that the CV is dead. What's your view on that, Lee?
Music to my ears. I've been trying to bang that drum for the last 12 years, Rob. To be fair, I mean, I do think that certain aspects of recruitment is broken or are broken, and I think the CV is one of them. You know, CVs can be dated back to over 500 years, believe it or not. And actually, when you think about the concept of a CV, it is two pieces of paper with lots of really good stuff written on it. Now, the fact is that we need to be hiring people based on who they are, not what's written on a piece of paper. Number one, which is why I think it's broken. Number two, the emergence of AI, which I know we're going to come on to later, is actually rendering the CV virtually useless, because everybody now can just go onto ChatGPT, write me a CV for Lee McQueen based on LinkedIn, and bang, you've got a CV that's written for you. So, you know, I do think that the CV as a hiring tool, or even as a filter, is no longer needed. And actually what we should be doing is looking at behaviors, competencies, attitude, personality, really getting to know who the individuals are that we're bringing into our organization. Because arguably, Rob, it would be the biggest investment that we make in our businesses.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, and I also agree. You know, it's a trend that we've seen more and more organizations adopting assessment technologies. And I think, and I was going to talk about COVID, you know, it's a subject that I hear less and less these days, but actually it had a pivotal impact on the way that we hire people. And also the digitization of assessments was really fundamental in helping organizations during that time. AI is also having a really big impact on TA, and it's been a really big talking point over the last 12, 24 months, especially. In your opinion, Lee, as an expert in this space, how do organizations get the balance right between AI and maintaining the human touch?
Well, I think you've hit nail on the head there with a human touch. I mean, I think that AI has been absolutely fantastic. It's transforming the way businesses around the world are operating, and certainly in a TA scenario, you want to be cutting time out. So it's very, very attractive. If somebody says to you today, "I'll give you a day back," or "I'll give you 7 hours back of your time," you're going to be interested. We all are, because none of us have enough time. But I think it's the balance between taking that time out using a automated device or an AI type device, whereas actually balancing it out against that human element, making the decision. So for me, I have no problem with maybe a pre-screen, maybe some questions driven by AI or some data points around AI. But for me, the human still needs to make the decision. Whether or not that's the hiring manager, the recruiter, you know, the talent acquisition teams, they need to be able to look and see that data and make that decision. Because otherwise, what we're doing is we're taking that human element or that balance completely out. And for me, that I don't think that's correct. So I'm all for streamlining and driving time-saving processes, but it has to be with the balance of a human decision. I think that's really, really important, Rob.
Yeah, no, really good. And that actually is a really nice segue onto my last question for you today. And this is something that I think brings probably some of the biggest insights for our viewers, and that's talking about trends that we see in this industry. So when it comes to assessments and the use of assessments pre and post COVID, what sort of trends are you seeing in the industry, Lee?
Well, I mean, like you said at the top of this segment, is that, you know, COVID has a massive impact on not only recruitment or the assessment part, but all of the businesses. And what we've seen is that there was observational assessment that was watching, looking, observing, really understanding who are these individuals coming into our organizations. And then when COVID hit, we couldn't do any of that. So everybody started to say, whoa, hang on, we're not doing that anymore. Let's go video interviewing. So using Zoom, using Teams, using other providers out there. And what we had to do at Phoenix 51 is pivot, because we were digitalizing people assessment. And then we added video technology into our platform. So we now got virtual assessment centers as well as in person. But the trends now, where the world kind of gets back to normality or post-COVID, a different world, but a post-COVID one, is that people are now going back in-house and looking at in-person assessment centers again, which is fantastic, right? So I do think it is the gold standard of recruitment. I do think it is the best way to find out, have you got the right individuals, the right people, the right behaviors into your organization against your core values. When you're looking at permanent recruitment, majority of the time, if not all the time, but our research suggests 89% of the time, people leave organizations because of a different value set or not a common behavior or common goal. And that is not to do with skill. That is not to do with, can I develop Java, or can I work out finance sums or whatever it might be. It's actually because they don't get on with the core values of the organization. So it's huge. This part of values, competencies, behaviors is huge. And observational assessment centers are a really, really strong way of actually doing that. Digitalizing them has been a revelation. There's so many organizations that still look at pen, paper, Excel spreadsheets, time watches around their neck, that type of stuff. You'll be amazed. So actually, for us, where we've kind of hit, I suppose, a niche is to digitalize that process, but not take away the human element. The human element is still in control. We're still making the decisions. The TA teams, the hiring managers, still making the decisions, but you're using a piece of technology that makes it really efficient, really intuitive, and gives you them data and insights on making a better considered decision.
Essentially, technology is the enabler in creating efficiencies, but also having that engagement and interaction with people in person is also fundamental, because people buy from people, right? And I don't know if we're ever going to get away from that, but we're certainly seeing a shift in the mindset of even candidates. Candidate expectations changing. We could talk about this. You and I could talk about this all day, but
I know. And I'm just going to add with the AI piece. It is changing the landscape so fast. I've read so many books and so many podcasts, different views, different elements of people that are for it, against it, people on the fence. The reality is that, a little bit like COVID, we're never going to go back to pre-COVID days. That's gone. And it's the same with AI, pre-AI. It's never happening now. It's here. Pandora's box is open. I think for me, what we need to understand in our businesses is that we need to use it wisely across all business. I'm not just talking about talent acquisition or recruitment technology now. I'm talking about using it in the right way so it helps and benefits the decision making that we have, not just about I'm cutting out 80 or 90% of time, so that's good. Not always. So I just think we need to have a bit of a balance on that, Rob.
No, I completely agree, and I appreciate you adding that in at the end. All really super insightful stuff that I'm sure our viewers are going to absolutely love. We've come to the end of another show, another Rectec Reel. And don't forget, if you are in the market for recruitment technology, do check out our free comparison platform at rectec.io and our unique technology marketplace as well. Register today for free, rectec.io. Lee, thank you for joining us and being such a wonderful guest. Stay tuned for more Rectec Reels, and until next time, bye-bye.